Welcome to the next video in the series. In the last video, we looked at the database schema and we explored all the tables in the database by looking at each of the table's attributes, the data types, as well as the constraints on those tables. In today's video, I thought it'd be interesting to look at how to extract the information from the database using SQL, and we'll also look at how to use Pandas with Python to do data manipulation to get the same result as a SQL query. So what we're going to look at is the number of employees hired by year. So I'm going to quickly write out that SQL query. Okay, so that's the SQL query that'll pull the information for us. So it's a really simple select statement. We're calling the year function on the hire date to extract the year from that date object. We're calling the count function on the employee number to get the count. We're getting this all from the employees table, and we're grouping by the hire date. And the reason why we can group by is because we call the count aggregate function. So the way we're going to read this from the database, just like last time, we're going to call the Pandas SQL read query function. And great, when we run this code, we can see that we've called the read SQL query function. We've stored the information in df, which stands for data frame, and when we print this out, we can confirm that the query did what we asked. It has an employee count for each hire date or each hire year in the table. So that's how you do a SQL. So now I want to look at how we would do that with just using Pandas and Python. So even though we're just going to use Pandas, we still have to use a SQL statement. So we're just going to select all the information from the employees table, and that's pretty straightforward. That'll take a second to run. And there you go. You can see that we selected everything from the employees table, and you can see that it's all been stored in this new data frame. And if we go down to the bottom, it's got 300,024 rows. So the way we're going to get the same result as before is we're going to use some of Pandas' functions. But I want to take this time to show you an interesting feature of Pandas. And the way we're going to get the hire date out of the actual year out of the hire date column is we're going to use a lambda function, and that's what this is what it looks like. Okay, so essentially what we did was we added a new column to the original data frame called hire year, and the way we got the hire year was applying a lambda function to the hire date column. And what that lambda function does is it takes that value that's in the column, so the date, which is also a date object, and we're calling date.year. Because it's a date object, we can call that function on it, and you can see that because we've made a new column down here in the data frame, when we print that out, we have a new column here called hire year, and you can verify that it's done the manipulation properly, because if we look at the year and the hire date and compare it to the hire year, we can see that it's the same. 1986, 1986. We look down here, 1994, 1994, and so on. So that's the first step. Now the second step is we're going to use a group by function, which comes with Pandas. So what we can do is df.groupby. We're going to pass in the hire year, which is the column we just made. We are going to group it by that year. Then what we're going to do is call the employee number column, and we're just going to call the count function, and that's going to count that column. And you can see that when we do this, it gives you the exact same result as the SQL query. So when we print out the output, same thing. So we'll just compare. For 1985, there was 35,316 employees hired, and when we go back up, we can see same thing. For 1985, 35,316 employees hired. So the reason why I wanted to show you this is that you can extract information with SQL, but Pandas gives you a really powerful way to manipulate data, and you can use Python to do some things like I showed you with the year manipulation, and you can always, no matter what situation you're in, you can apply different methods to get the same results. So I hope you find this helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.